Welcome back to Beyond the Book. In case you don't know me, I'm JoAnn Dickinson, and today I'm excited to welcome back Kelsey Clark's here to talk about her brand new book, Searching for Apollo in Athens. Kelsey, it's so great to have you back. Thank you for coming back and chatting with us.
I'm so excited to be back on. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your journey since we last spoke and the backstory about your new book. It's so adorable. I love this little cat.
So it's been honestly a year. We're kind of a year behind in where I wanted to post this book. But it's mostly because of life. I'm a new mom, so trying to figure out how to balance both being a mom and also being an author and like how to make that work. I'm still learning.
Of course.
Um, But it's finally here, so I'm super stoked to talk about it. It's called Searching for Apollo in Athens. The backstory, so what happened was my husband and I were going over there for his work, and I got to be able to just travel while he was in a training. And before we go, my husband and I are just these types of people that we research, where do we want to go? What are some things we want to do? And as we were researching, I kept seeing on all of these blog posts that there are cats everywhere. You're going to see cats everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I love cats. And they were not wrong. They were cats like walking around everywhere. So as my husband was at work, I would send him photos during his break, or later I would show him photos, and I would say, how many cats do you see in this photo? And he would say, 4 or 5. No, there's 6, or there's 3, or there's it just became this fun game we would play. How many cats can you spot? Um, so it was just a lot of fun. Our travel experience was before I had this idea. So I had the idea and I was like, you know what? This would be a great children's book idea, as I was thinking about my own experiences in travel and the kids trying to find the cats in the photo. And every kid, I feel like, understands hide and seek. Every kid can relate to the hide and seek game. And so it's Athena's trying to find her brother Apollo amongst everything, all of Athens. And what I love, I have to show you real quick. I love this. It's so excited. But you'll see all of these little images of cats. The detail is everywhere.
Oh
Um,
my God, I
so
love
you'll
it.
see it in the bushes. You'll see it, in the rock formations. You'll just see it scattered, in the clouds. You'll see it everywhere. And it's just chock full of just, fun that kids can have, like, outside of the questions. They can just go back to it and see if they can find any other characters or things like that.
Um, Give us a little bit of story behind that story. What is it about?
So it's Athena, this cat, and she's trying to find her brother Apollo. So she keeps looking and looking for her brother amongst everything. She's looking, and as you can tell, it's still the day, it's still the day. And as it keeps going, you all of a sudden it starts becoming nighttime. And so you're trying to help her find her brother within the story before it becomes dark. And what's also fun about it is, so for example, one of the first page, it says, "Do you see any clues that my brother was here? Oh, look, a paw print." So there's clues
Oh,
that pertain to a cat. So a paw print, a scratching post, a toy mouse, things like that. So kids are trying to find these elements and they're thinking, oh, we must be close. Apollo must be
oh,
nearby. And so you're helping Athena as she's going along to all of her and her brother's favorite spots in Athens. You're going along with her to try and help find him.
how fun to be so interactive, Kelsey. Searching for Apollo in Athens feels rich with mythology and meaning. What
Mhm.
inspired you to bring that story to life? How does it differ from your previous books? Now, I know that you
Yeah.
traveled there. I don't want to say they all look the same. They don't. They have different colors, have different feelings. So, share with us how they differ.
So, to touch on real quick some similarities is just how you see here. It's the book that opens and you have the image. But again, the difference is what the image is. Like, Obviously, the difference is the destination. Each destination has its own character, its own feeling, and then the story. All of them have different animal tour guides, but like animals have their own personalities. But the story is where I think everything shines because they're all a little different. They are just, again, like the hide and seek game. And some other differences I would say is the age range. This is for the youngest audience that we have written for. So you have from 0 to 4 years old. And you can tell in the text, it's definitely for a younger audience. It's very repetitive. I would say that this was probably more so not a challenge, but more for Valentina, my friend and illustrator, to really hone in on because it's for a younger audience. Again, the details. You need to look at how are we going to create these little details in it, and like what is that going to look like? And again, making it more interactive. So I feel like this was a fun project for both of us to try and see like what can happen. I think those would be the biggest differences. And then obviously, like I know we touched on this in the previous one, but like the logo, how it has the flag is blue and white, and so the logo changed now to blue and white. And yes, there'll be similarities in terms of the maps, but again, different locations. So now it's introducing children on where is Athens in the map. And then same with where did we travel to in the book? They went to 17 different locations. When the kids want to actually see where did I go when they get a little bit older and they're more curious about the location, they can go here and be, and that's where I went to. I want to go here when I get older. Or I want to travel here when I go there.
Did you purposely write for the younger audience? And
I
the
did.
first two books were for what's the age group on the first two?
So the first one, Giuseppe takes us to Capri. It's more so for kindergarten to second grade. And then the other one, Zala, the Slovenian Dragon, goes from first grade to third grade. So yes, I purposefully did it for a younger audience for multiple reasons, but just because of the storyline that I had in my head about this hide and seek, I think of it for a younger kid. I do this with my niece and nephew who are younger. We still play hide and seek games. So that's what I think of when I think of hide and seek and this whole thought. So I wanted it to be for a younger audience. And then I also wanted to do it obviously for my son. I mean, many, many reasons.
That's great. Every book has its own rhythm and challenges. What was your process like this time around from searching Greek mythology to shaping Athena's character and voice? You have a very detailed process when you write a book. And we went through that. And I'm going to connect your first interview with this one on YouTube so people can see the difference of the two books and all the information you gave us. But share with us the process. Was it different than the first two?
I definitely am. I will say you talked about mythology. Growing up, I was one of those kids. I loved reading mythology stories. I don't know about you, but I used to love like reading, the Greek, Roman, Egyptian, like all those stories. They just fascinated me. And so to be able to go there and like touch on that myself in my own book was so much fun. For example, real quick, all the detail that we put in the book. We put a lot of detail that correlates with mythology. You'll see in the back of the book, we say, can you find all of Apollo, or in Greek, Apollon? Can you find all of his toys in the book? So in Greek mythology, there are certain elements that the god correlates with or that pertain to the god. So Apollo, the sun, you have the lyre, the bow and arrow. And so putting that in here for kids to find like an extra element of to add in the mythology. So here's the sun in this one. It becomes a second layer or another game that the kids can play, but also learn something, which I think is a lot of fun. And then in terms of Apollo and Athena is the goddess that Athens is named after. And so I wanted her to be my main character for that reason. When they think of Athens, they always think of the Parthenon and like this to me was very important. So I wanted her to be the main character. The reason why I picked Apollo, because I had a question from a family friend who was like, Athena and Apollo were brother and sister. And I know that. But one of the reasons why I did that is because one of the buildings in Athens, this one right here, this is
Mm.
the National Academy of Athens. And what I loved about it is you have two statues that have Athena and Apollo. So you have two statues of both of them flanked. So to me, I wanted to, that's another reason why I chose them, because I'm trying to weave in as much as I can.
I love that you write and you have illustrated
Mhm.
the layers of learning. I would think that would be great for a teacher in a classroom, and your first 2 books are the same way. They're so original. I just think that they are just so original and so different. You don't have anybody in your lane. You don't have anybody competing with you.
I will say though, that being said, that also makes that a challenge for me at the
Mm,
same time. Yes, it's great because I found something that speaks to me, but also there's not a lot of competition. However, it is a very specific niche.
mhm,
So that's
mhm.
my biggest challenge is just trying to find the right audience or right people that like travel book or, oh, I want to learn some language or I want to teach my kids. So it is very specific.
It is, yes, but I'm sure it's out there. I would think in different countries. Do you
Yeah.
have it in different languages or do you have it on Amazon in different countries?
I do have it on Amazon in different countries. I don't have it in different languages yet. I mean, never say never. So
Mhm,
as an author, I'm
mhm.
sure you feel this way. You always like have all these ambitions or dreams in the future and like baby steps.
Yes, I totally agree. People have asked me, "Do you have that in Spanish? Are any of your books in Spanish?" But because they're rhyming books change. They're not going to be rhyming books anymore. Story would be very different. I did touch on it with a friend of mine that speaks Spanish, and it wasn't even the same story. So I
Okay.
had her look at it and she said it's not going to be the same story or book or rhythm. So I put that on the back burner. 'Cause, yeah, I think if you're not a rhyming story, then you wouldn't have that issue. But
So I wouldn't have that specific issue, but an issue I have thought about I would have is because if you look a lot of the sentences, for example, you have ohi and then so think about it like if this was in and then it's all in English. So you have certain words in Greek. I guess I would have to figure out do I want to have it in the other language and then keep the Greek word, but then even that alone, the Greek word might phonetically look different in that country on how they would say it versus
mhm.
so there's a lot of elements that I would have to
I think I would leave the Greek language in there because you have it in with the American. And so
yeah,
you just change the English language.
never say never. That would be great.
Everything has its challenges, no matter what you do, how you do it with children's books and writing. I interviewed really just a short bird walking off on our conversation is
Yeah.
I interviewed a gentleman this morning that wrote cozy mysteries. I didn't never knew there was a thing of cozy mysteries. And it intrigued me because I thought what I liked about it, it's good, clean writing. There's not languages. So it's a good pocket for the younger, maybe earlier reader. I just thought that was interesting. I said, "I gotta research that," because we always learn
Yeah.
something new, don't we? I feel like there's
Always.
always something out there that intrigues you and think, "Well, maybe
Yeah.
I need to look into that," I think.
So I haven't heard of cozy mysteries, but I have heard of cozy fantasy.
Uh,
So the same type of idea that you're talking about, just more like wholesome and nice.
And I think that he said that that was number 2 on Amazon. Romance novels are number 1 and cozy
Yeah.
mysteries are number 2. I thought that was very interesting too.
That
I
is
wonder
interesting.
where fantasy falls into that. Maybe that's 3.
Maybe. I mean, I could
Interesting topic. Many of your stories, Kelsey, explores emotional intelligence and inner strength. What message or theme do you hope young readers will take away from Apollo and Althea?
Right. So I already touched on the hide and seek element, but the other thing I would say is determination and resilience.
Oh, love them.
Athena, it sounds silly to say about a hide and seek type book, but she does. And what I love about what my illustrator did, she makes you feel like you're really a part of the experience with her. You have close up
Mm.
images, you have far away images, she's everywhere in different positions in different ways. She has expression on every page, even when she doesn't think it's going to happen. She's so expressive, but it's expressiveness that makes you want to keep turning the page and be like, oh, what does she look like? Or what is she doing now? Or where is she going to next to try and find him? So it's just a lot of very fun way of portraying that.
Your illustrator is so amazing,
Yes.
Kelsey. I know we talked about this in the last interview, but what I thought was interesting, even though all of her illustrations are very simple, but they're
Mhm.
so unique. I
Yes.
was looking at the shape of the cat and even the little legs of the cat and her big face. And it's just so original, her style.
She's amazing. One thing that I love that we do for each book, even though there's elements that are very similar, they're not all the same. So she wanted more, I would call it geometrical shapes, but still we wanted the vibrancy, right? It's a lot more box geometrical. So I love that she's enjoying herself as well and in creating her own idea of it and just having fun with it. And each story, hearing my side of it and telling her my story and this is where I'm seeing it go. This is what I want to do with it. It's fun to see how my idea and her idea blend together.
And you have been friends for many years. I
Yes.
think that is a lot of it, is that relationship and working together and collaborating together is what makes it so special.
Our phone calls, we try to call periodically to see where are you with the next book, and we just have so much fun because we are friends first. So we'll talk for 30 minutes. Okay, let's actually now talk about the book.
I love that, Kelsey. Where does she live? Where does your illustrator live?
So she currently lives in Orlando. That's where we had met, but she's gonna be moving soon. So it's sad, but I'm
Mhm.
excited for her.
Is she going to a different country or just another state? Does she typically travel around or is this just something she decided to do?
No, she travels around, but she has family over there. So it was just she was, you
Um,
know what, I think it's time, and so she can be a part of both the US and Spain. And I'm gonna miss her because obviously I've known her since elementary school. But I'm super excited for her and her next journey. And we're still gonna be collaborating and making stories, just a different time here time frame.
It's so easy to do business together no matter where you guys are at, but it's not the
Exactly.
same as being 2 hours away from each other either. The art in your books always feel intentional and
Mhm.
expressive. How did you collaborate with your illustrator on this project to visually capture the spirit of ancient Athens and Apollo's journey? When you come together, Kelsey,
Mhm.
does she say, I had this idea and this vision, you had this vision, and then you come together? Or are you guys of one brain? I would think that maybe she knows you so well that she goes, I know Kelsey's gonna want this.
I am like so detailed, but I will say I try not to. I have my structure, but then I want to create a avenue for her to be creative and for her to have fun with
Mhm.
it. And so what I do is I give her the text. I give her some ideas of like I'll give her photos of when I was there of the places. I'll give her other ideas, other photos, but at the end of the day, I want to hear her view of it. And so
Yes,
in terms of
of
like
course.
the geometrical shapes and stuff like that, that was her idea. I gave her some ideas of like color palettes. I gave her ideas of this, but then I wanted her to have fun with it cuz if she's having fun with it and I'm having fun with it, things just flow a lot smoother.
Yeah. You don't want to hold her down on her creativity because she is so creative.
Right.
I would think looking at your 3 books, I'm on Amazon and I'm looking at your 3 books. You have a light blue pastel, the other one's deeper purple, and I feel like the 3rd one is something of both books that they come together, and I love that about the
I
the
can see
style.
that. And I think she gets a lot of her ideas from the story. The first one is on a beach, so she wanted to be very bright and vibrant. And then the second one is an island. The second one is her story of trying to find a dragon. She wanted to be more moody or darker. And then this one, again, she wanted to create more of a brightness to it because it is for a younger audience. So she wanted to make it fun. But I can see what you mean about the different, how it blends together. I love the details and everything, the shadow behind her.
The illustrations, the simplicity of it, but yet
Mhm.
it's got a lot to it. I love the simplicity because I don't think kids like so much clutter and too much going on. I mean, like, what about Waldo? That boggles my mind.
It's funny you should say that. As a kid, I used to love those types of like books where you're like trying to find. I was like, where is it? I love games, so it was so much fun for me. But I feel like with this one, you can go back. I mean, there is again an element of question. Can you find the paw print? Do you see Apollo in here? And then having the kids be like, oh, maybe that's Apollo, maybe that's Apollo. And when I did send it to her, that was the layout. I would like it to be an image of one location, an image of another location. And then when they turn it, I want it to be a spread. And you can see that pattern, a single location, a spread. So that was the pattern throughout the whole book.
How well thought out that you have laid out. I was looking at another book that I received from being part of a launch team and I won a book.
Oh,
That's what she had done too.
oh,
I would say every other page was a spread. It's these big, huge pictures, and it was just so unique and beautiful. I love that. I guess I never really thought about it as far as, two separate pages and then a spread. I would love to do another book like that.
yeah, and I've done different things with different ones. I'll just give her the text and whatever makes sense in terms of the image. But sometimes I'm like, okay, I need it to be this many pages. How do I make it, but also make it easy for her to put the image on there? And what would that look like?
Since this is your second time on the show, what have you learned between your last release and Apollo in Athens that you'd share with other authors? Maybe something that you wish that you would have known earlier? Or did you learn something? I would think as you go from your first to your second to your third, you're always learning something new. But what's that specific thing with this book that you felt like, I wish I would have did that in the first book?
Well, I would say you learn something with every book, every experience, and I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly trying to improve myself and just what people want to see. I would say it was very hard in terms of for me because I had a vision having 2 books a year. That was like a part of my vision. And so not to accomplish that was hard for my type A personality,
Oh.
but I have obviously an amazing reason for that, so I was okay with it. But I would say as any first-time author, I would say you need to crawl before you can walk, the expression, and so have high expectations for yourself, also have realistic expectations for yourself. So what I try to do for myself is, like, before I even started as an author is I'm like, "Where do I see it? Where do I see it in a year, 5 years, 10 years? Where do I see it going?" And then having that, like, each year be okay, what are realistic expectations that I can accomplish? And
Mhm.
having grace and patience with yourself, though, to know that life can sometimes happen and just be able to be flexible and be like, okay, well, maybe I didn't get here yet, but it'll happen. And then just being, again, flexible and be excited for all those milestones that you do accomplish because
Yes.
it's always exciting when you can cross off something that you were able to accomplish that you wanted to that year.
Absolutely. Do you have any new manuscripts written, Kelsey? You said you want to do 2 a year, so that means are you planning for 2 next year?
I would say after I would probably say I will hope for 2, but plan for 1. I think that'll be my new perspective because that was a challenge for me. I know, and I'm sure you agree, social media is huge part of
Mm.
being an author. And so trying again, being a first time mom and trying to figure out how to balance, I'm like, okay, when does he nap? I have like an hour. I have like an hour to figure out like, a couple posts for this week or something. I have an hour to talk to my friend about the next book. So I actually do though. I purposely tried to write some before my baby so that way she wasn't waiting on me forever. So I have 3 that I'm gonna send to her, and I'm really
Oh,
excited. I want her to choose which one she feels more passionate about at this moment, so that way it just comes organically and just flows. I think one more note I would say to any new authors is, but there are certain things you'll hear some authors say, "Oh, this worked for me," and other authors, "Oh, this worked for me," and it's gonna be a lot of trial and error as an author of seeing, okay, does that specific thing work for me though? And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't.
right.
It's a lot of trying new things.
There is no one lane to writing
Right.
children's books. You have to do whatever works for you,
Right.
however it works for you, write when you can. Most people are similar in age as you, Kelsey, where they have
Yeah.
kids, young kids, middle-aged kids, high school
Right.
kids. There's so much to life that
Right.
unfortunately, I feel like our books get put on the back burner, but that's just life. You have to go
Right.
with the flow and do what you
Right.
can do.
Well, and that's why I think it took us a little bit of time to get this book out too, is because, I don't want to like, and neither does Valentina want to skimp on like our quality or what we put out there,
Right.
right? So,
Uh-huh.
and we still want to go through all of the channels of like having people look it over ahead of time, having, our friend who speaks the language look over it or things like that. We want to again make sure that it's all what we feel excited to put out there to people as well.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% in regards to that. Never
Mhm.
rush it. Never skimp on what you feel like you need. You know what? I need one more check or somebody else to look at it. I agree with
Right.
that, Kelsey. It's been wonderful catching up with you, Kelsey.
Thank
We'll have to
you.
do this next year with your
Yeah.
next book.
I would love
Love,
that.
but make sure you give the stage to that one while you can.
I will, I know. I'll just keep
I
holding it.
I
Thank you
know.
so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I love coming on here.
Oh, I love having you, Kelsey. You are such a your personality. You're so happy and cheerful, and I love your personality. Before we wrap it up, though, can you share with the listeners where they can find you and your website?
Yes. So far, just on Amazon at the moment, but I
Okay.
am trying to figure out where I want to go in terms of a website because I would like to have my own. Timing is the thing I'm working on. But once
Nice.
that is out, I will let everybody know. But until then, Amazon for right now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining me on Beyond the Book with JoAnn
Thank you.
Dickinson. If you love children's books, author stories, and the creative process behind publishing, be
Thank you so
sure
much.
to like and subscribe and share this episode. Join us on YouTube and Spotify for more inspiring conversations to take you beyond the pages and into the heart of storytelling. Thank you, Kelsey,
Thank
once again for
you.
being on. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time. I gotta find my cursor. I always lose